Bitcoin is forming the base for an historic bull run, holding on to this 13K level after breaking through it twice now. And there is a lot going on with the altcoins as this PayPal news is rippling through and affecting some of our favorite cryptos in the entire space. We're going to be talking about the monstrous bull market momentum that Bitcoin is building, what we have to look forward to as far as macroeconomic factors, and of course altcoins that are performing extremely well based on ties to PayPal, who according to some experts are looking to implement their very own cryptocurrency. If you guys are excited to learn about the most important topics, in my opinion, in the crypto industry today, then go ahead and destroy that like button. And remember that each and every comment on this video is entered to win your very own Ledger Nano S. With that said, let's dive in. First of all, let's address the news of the day, which is, of course, that PayPal, according to Meltem Demirors, who is a well-known cryptocurrency advocate and investor, could potentially introduce its very own cryptocurrency. Now, this would come in the form of a stablecoin, most likely to facilitate payments globally without friction, and of course, alleviate any congestion that might occur by relying directly on the layer ones for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, or Bitcoin Cash, the assets that PayPal has declared that they're interested in working with in this first phase of their crypto adoption. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 6 to 12 months, we see PayPal launching its own digital currency similar to a digital dollar that we've seen in many payments companies. Now, this probably has a lot of stablecoin issuers clamoring to be the stablecoin of choice, but we'll be talking about one particular project that the market has recognized tremendously over the past 48 hours since this news has leaked, and we're going to be making a case for why they might very well be working with PayPal to help launch this crypto. In addition to this news, we have Paul Tudor Jones, the legendary Wall Street billionaire, saying that investing in Bitcoin now is like investing early in Apple or Google. And this is, of course, because he's recognized the disruptive potential that Bitcoin has to completely change the way that we approach our savings of currency in our modern financial world. In an interview on the Squawk Box CNBC, Paul Tudor Jones says he likes Bitcoin even more than he did when he initially announced his admiration for the asset, but he still holds a small single-digit investment in the asset. I'm guessing by single-digit, he means single-digit as measured in Bitcoin. I see you, Paul, already using the Bitcoin standard. He said Bitcoin has this enormous contingent of really, really smart and sophisticated people who believe in it. He said it's like investing with Steve Jobs and Apple, or really investing in Google early. And this is how I feel completely about cryptocurrency, which is it's part about the idea, but the other huge part about this is the intellectual capital being deployed in this industry. It's undeniable that some of the smartest minds in the entire world are working in the blockchain industry, specifically on Bitcoin, but also, in my opinion, there's even more brilliance in the altcoin industry, which is why I stay so bullish on these alternative digital assets. And we're going to be talking about one altcoin that's been zooming over the past few hours, and I think this is a great example of how innovation can lead to some tremendously important and potentially life-changing opportunities if you time them properly. Adding fuel to this fire, we have the report that TD Ameritrade, one of the biggest asset managers in the world, is reporting that investors are more interested in Bitcoin than equities. This comes from a segment from lead anchor Oliver Rennick. At the end of his 6-minute long market wrap-up, claimed that investors are more interested in owning Bitcoin than equities, and this was on a news segment on TD Ameritrade Network that portrayed Bitcoin as a better investment than stocks. And of course, what would be some big crypto news without some classic crypto memery? And this is, of course, Libra getting jealous that PayPal is very much so looking at Bitcoin and not at Libra. Now, I don't think this is really what's happening. They do like Bitcoin, but they're really looking at payments technology. And we'll talk a little bit about what payments technology I think they might be implementing here in just a few minutes. But I also thought that this was a nice comparison showing that payments technology in general is very hot this year. In addition to cryptocurrency, we see Ethereum up 200% on the year, Square up almost 200% on the year, PayPal up 99%. Both PayPal and Square are up more in percentage than Bitcoin. That's just an interesting statistic, not to say that that will hold through next year, but that's something to keep in mind. You also have MasterCard barely up, Visa up 6%, American Express down, Western Union down big, JP Morgan down big, Bank of America down huge, Citigroup down monstrously, and Wells Fargo. This literally looks like a bad ICO, Wells Fargo, down almost 60%. 8% just this year. And I retweeted this, which is Plan B's lining up here the Bitcoin RSI with the addition of his red dot to green dot 4-year cycle fluctuation. And he's saying, hey, look at this. You have the previous cycles, which had the red dots leading up into strength into the bull run into 2013, and then they cool off. You see the same thing leading up towards 2018 with the reds turning into yellows. And of course, then you see the crash into the greens. And then we see the same thing now with another red dot and another big increase in the RSI. I'm not a big believer in models. However, these are starting to look eerily accurate. And of course, if they are accurate, that would mean absolute insanity for the Bitcoin price. And I believe that that would slingshot the alts in a tremendous way, though of course, without a doubt, alts are much more risky than Bitcoin, so just keep that in mind. And remember, this is what Bitcoin looked like in a bull run last time. We got reads all the way up to 100 on Google Trends, but the searches for Bitcoin are still hovering here at about a 6 level. Now, we've been at a 6 literally throughout the entire bear market. In fact, the 6, I guess a 5, is the lowest read we've ended up with since the bear market of 3 years ago. So as far as Google Trends are considered, as far as the world actually waking up and starting to become interested in Bitcoin again, I don't think we're there yet. We are still so early, despite Bitcoin's bucking Bronco-like bull action. And now for the altcoin story of the day, in my opinion, which is RSR. Now, in the past week, RSR has had a nice explosion off its lows here, just under a penny, to getting up here to about 1.5 cents. This is about a 50% move that it has held onto and grown from. Really nice movement here from RSR, and this came in tandem with the PayPal news. So the big question is here, what's the connection? And if we look here at RSR's website, Reserve Rights, we see that their current investors includes Coinbase, Sam Altman, who's the president and founder of Y Combinator. But most importantly here, we see Peter Thiel, the founder of PayPal. And of course, Peter Thiel went on to do amazing things throughout his career. He was an early investor in Tesla and SpaceX. He was Elon Musk's right-hand guy at the beginning. And Peter Thiel, of course, is going to be deeply linked to PayPal. So the question here that people are wondering is RSR, which is fundamentally a stablecoin platform. Reserve is a flexible pool of stablecoins designed to reduce risk through diversification and decentralized governance. To everyday users, Reserve is just an app for buying, holding, and spending digital US dollars. And you also see the use case being highly relevant to PayPal. We know PayPal is not here to create some volatile Bitcoin-esque instrument. We know that PayPal's main goal is to facilitate payments between individuals online. And then, of course, these stablecoins would make it so that they no longer had to rely on the Bitcoin blockchain to transfer value, that they could have instant transfers of sidechain stablecoins while, of course, waiting for Bitcoin to make its move, or maybe even just holding a significant amount of Bitcoin in their reserves, enough to justify having that Bitcoin transfer through their network. And this brings up the concept of the Bitcoin black hole. A Bitcoin black hole is when Bitcoin goes into a network that it no longer comes out of. And I believe that institutions like PayPal are going to be creating these types of black holes, meaning once PayPal puts Bitcoin into its network, those coins are off the market forever. They can be transacted on within PayPal, but most likely, unless PayPal adds a withdraw function, which given what we've seen so far is not in the cards, we have no reason to believe that Bitcoin will have any means of escaping PayPal's grasps once it's in the network. And so we have a black hole, yet another participant in the market that is sucking in coins and reducing effectively the tradable supply on the exchanges. So we can see that PayPal news is extremely positive when you understand that it's going to be exposing hundreds of millions of people to this asset, giving hundreds of millions of people crypto wallets, and allowing for instant and scalable transfers on the network, albeit it's not fully crypto-y, but this is extremely positive for the entire industry. And it very well could be that RSR is going to be in some way part of PayPal issuing their own stablecoin. We'll have to see if that ends up panning out, but clearly the market believes something is a-brewing. And to be honest, I tend to agree. I've talked about RSR on this channel for months now. It's definitely a favorite of the channel, and seeing it now get this extreme green flag makes me very bullish. It's also time to start releasing coin lists again, because the ones that I've been talking about have been performing really well, and I believe that my thesis on these altcoins is starting to play out. So if you guys are excited for coin lists and low cap gems, I know you guys are, do me a favor and smash that like button, not just for me, but for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps the channel. Also keep your eye on Ren here, because as Bitcoin grows in value, Ren's value grows as well, as it is the primary resource for wrapping Bitcoin and getting it into Ethereum DeFi. And we see the price of Ren jumping very well with good news about Bitcoin. I've been telling you to keep your eye on this for a while. But there's another one that I love as well called Chainx, PCX, Polkadot Chainx. And this was the first mover in wrapping Bitcoin to get it onto the Polkadot network. Now, Ren will also be looking to integrate with Polkadot. However, PCX is by far the first mover here, and at $19 million market cap, with Ren sitting at literally $312 million market cap, you're looking at almost a 20x between these two. I believe strongly in the Coca-Cola Pepsi narrative, where there's a first mover and a leader, and then a second comer that can come and try to close the gap. And while they may never close the gap, they can do well in getting close. And I believe that Chainx, when seen in comparison to something like Ren, has potential to grow a ton. And it was literally at $10 at the end of August before the collapse. And if we get this next bullish leg that I'm expecting, seeing it return to that high of $10 would not surprise me. It's down 70% from its highs, which would mean that it's between a 3 and 4x from here back to its highs. And I'm personally very bullish on this entire space of wrapping Bitcoin for use in other networks. So PCX to me is setting up as an interesting opportunity in the market. Again, not financial advice. Do your own research, make your own conclusions, and always take responsibility if you're going to enter into a trade. As history sets up to repeat itself with yet another historic Bitcoin bull run, we see altcoins following closely in tandem to Bitcoin and often on daily growth percentages outstripping Bitcoin. Of course, they are significantly more risky, but as I've said many times, these alts have the potential to be far more generous on far shorter periods of time, though over a long enough period of time, you want to be stacking that Bitcoin, stacking those Satoshis. It seems like the market is starting to become very ripe for more altcoin picks, and for that reason, you're definitely going to want to subscribe and have that bell on so that you don't miss any of my picks, as when the market is hot, these coins can move extremely fast, so you want to be the first one to know about it. As usual, if you got any value out of this video, if you enjoyed learning about the explosion of Bitcoin and what it really means for PayPal to become a black hole for this asset, the explosion of popularity from well-known investors, and of course, TV pundits and institutions like TD Ameritrade, well, the writing's on the wall that everything is set and ready for Bitcoin to make its next move. The question is, how long will it take? How far will it go? And which, of course, will be those alts that explode in Bitcoin's wake. I have my own picks, but I encourage you guys to leave your favorite coins below this video. Remember that each and every comment is entered to win your very own Ledger Nano S. And of course, if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, I highly encourage you to subscribe and put that bell on, because when we start doing altcoin picks here, well, these coins in a bull market can move extremely fast, so that information is highly time sensitive, and you're going to want to have that bell on set to all so that you make sure you're aware whenever I put out new content. As usual, I thank you so much for watching. If you want to connect with me personally, feel free to follow me on Twitter or join my Telegram group, t.me/ElioTradesCrypto. A lot of the coins that I discuss here on the channel, I either tweet about or are talked about within my Telegram group long before they become topics on the show. So I encourage you guys, if you want to know about everything that I'm thinking about, if you want to be following my mindset and following my approach to this market even closer, I encourage you to follow me on Twitter and join my Telegram group. The links for those are in the description. As usual, I thank you so much for watching. My name's Elio Trades, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.